Hi everybody, it is April. We are in my craft room and we are going to have another challenge. This time it is going to be a jelly roll challenge or 2.5-inch strips, whichever you prefer to call them. Now different companies have different sizes, they have different ways to package them, and they have different names. This is a 40 karat gem, and that is by Wilmington Fabrics. Because, believe it or not, Moda owns the name Jelly Roll. I just have a few of these jelly rolls and gems and strips. So let's get to the challenge. So the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to use some strips that Fabric Hut sent me. Now these are a little different than your regular strips. They are like, whoops, this is one I put together. The strips are shorter than your normal jelly roll. So they're almost like pre-cut. And what you can do with these is make smaller projects. So this is 9 3/4 by 2.5 inches. Now what I did was I put them on a piece of batting to make placemats. And in addition, I did a little embroidery. So I took 2 strips and I sewed them together to make a longer strip. Now this is just the layout I used. You could go diagonally, you could go up and down, totally up to you. So here is my placemat. Now I have the front done. Now I need to put the back on. If you look, you can see where the basis of my placemat is. Now when I've been sewing, of course, it's kind of gathered up a little bit, but now I can trim it down to a regular size. If I can find my ruler. So I am just going to straighten this out. I'm going to line my ruler up on one of the seam lines and cut. So that side is straight, and then I will line this side up on a straight seam, or as straight as it's gonna be anyway. Then I'm going to straighten this, and because I know that each end of this is straight, I can use an end to line it up. And same over here. I'm not going to lose as much on this side, I don't think, as I did on the other. Okay, and here is my placemat. Now I'm going to take a fat quarter, and this fat quarter I think goes well with this fabric. It's a solid, and I'm going to lay it down on the back of my placemat. And then I'm going to overlap a little bit, and I'm just going to add some seam lines. Let's see, so I'm going to take a clip here and a clip here, and I'm leaving a little bit of the edge alone and not worrying about matching, because, yep, that's not going to work. Get a big clip. Because again, when I start sewing, the fabric is going to draw up a little bit. And get another big clip, put it over here, and that should be good. I think I'm just going to go along the seams because I don't want this line not to be straight and it not look right. And then I'm going to jump over the bunny, and then we'll be ready to put on the binding. So here you can see where I've added stitching. So now I'm going to trim and straighten the edges, and my placemat will be ready for binding. There are multiple projects that we can make with these little strips. We've already made our placemat. Something else we can make are potholders. So what I'm going to use for that project is called Insulbrite. And Insulbrite is a type of batting that prevents heat or cold from going through the batting. So as long as we use this to make our potholders, we don't have to worry about setting a pot that's really hot down on top and the heat coming through the bottom of our project and causing damage to the surface to which we have set that on. I've picked out some strips, and I'm going to do a different design for my potholder. So I can put a long strip this way and this way, and then I'm going to join these strips together Oh, let's put the bunny here in case that one strip gets cut off. How cute is that bunny? Okay, so essentially the design will be this. So what I need to do first of all is sew my 4 strips together and sew my 2 strips together. I'll take my Insulbrite, lay it down. Now these 2 strips will go down first. So let's see, I want to sew them this way. Let me make sure that I get that. Okay, if I do this, all right. So it's almost down the middle of my Insulbrite. Let me stitch that down. Now this is kind of a quilt as you go kind of thing. So here you can see where I put the wrong side up and stitched down almost the center of my Insulbrite. Now I pressed it back. I need to trim this thread. Now what I want to do is I want to add this to my project. So I'm going to place this on top of the 2 strips right side up. So here they're right sides together. And I'm going to put a 1/4 inch seam and then we will fold this out for our potholder. And these strips from Precut are just like the strips that you would get in a jelly roll. It's just they're not as long, which makes them less cumbersome. So now I have these strips going this way and these strips going this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this fat quarter and I'm going to press it, and then I want to sew a stitch in the ditch just like I did on the other placemat. First, let me trim this down. Now these strips we'll be able to use for another project. So let's trim this down. These will be perfect for a quilt block. Okay, and then I'm going to trim all the way around this square. Wow, I'm having trouble getting that to cut. Okay, worked that time. Now I'm going to trim this side. And this side. I need to press this fat quarter. What we're going to do this time, instead of making something that we still have to sew, we are going to turn this inside out. So I'm going to trim the fabric to be the same size, just a little bit bigger than my piece of Insul Bright. Let's see, okay. And I'm going to put right sides together. So here is my top. I'm going to put right sides together. I'm going to sew all the way around, but I'm going to leave an opening. And I can use my clips if you want to clip to keep your fabric in place. And then I want to notate where I'm going to end my stitching. So I will start, let's see, get all these in place. So I can start stitching here. Right here. I'll stitch and then I will back stitch. And then I will go all the way around and I will stop here. Let me bring the camera over to the sewing machine. So here you can see that I'm going to start at the yellow. Okay, let me switch these two. All right, so I'm going to start at the skinny yellow and I will finish at the wider yellow. So I am going to sew inward just a couple stitches and then I'll back tack, then I'll sew, and then I will lift my foot. I will trim my threads. When you do the little sewing, well, maybe I'll cut them. Wow, really? No, these scissors are horrible. When you sew inward, that makes it easier to close the gap between where you stopped sewing and where you started sewing. And this gives you enough room to turn your project right side out. Helps if you put your foot down. And then I will quit 1/4 of an inch close to the edge. Okay, so I will stop probably right about here. I hate it when I forget to put my foot down. Because I want to make sure that I have enough room to turn this inside out. And then I'm going to lift my foot. And I'm going to sew and back tack. All right, take these awful scissors that are not sharp at all and cut that thread. So here you can see I have a little bit of space to turn this right side out. So here is my project where the wrong side is out. Now I want to cut the corners here so that there's not that bulk there where it will interfere with me getting my corners turned all the way out. So I'm just going to cut a little off. Don't get near your seam. And if you've ever made bowl cozies, you know how this is. So now I have this little opening. I probably should have given myself more space, but I did not. So I am going to reach to the furthest corner and I'm going to pull that forward. And if you eat Chinese anytime, you may have chopsticks that you didn't use and you can use to push out your corner. So I have that corner. I have another corner over here that I can also bring right side out, and I'm going to pull those through and look at what a cute trivet or hot pad this makes. Now here where I have sewn that little line, I can easily turn my fabric in. It almost does it for you. So I'll put a clip here and here. This one needs to be pushed out a little more. And I can top stitch all the way around. Let me make sure that this gets pushed out all the way. How cute is that? So now, once I have done this pot holder, I have more strips and I can use them to make quilt blocks. And I can make a quilt block that looks just like this, or I can cut these strips down and make a courthouse quilt block. So the options to use these little strips are endless. Fabric Hut has graciously given me a pack of these strips for you. So I'm going to put a link in the description below where you can enter your email address, and I'll have a little question to get more information from you about maybe what you would like to see from my channel. And you will be entered into a drawing to win these strips. Now let's see how many. So there are 40 strips. They are cotton, and it is 6.5 by 25 centimeters. I don't do centimeters. So let's measure. I think we did measure, but let's measure again. So here's a strip. Cutest fabric, really cute fabric. So this strip is, I remember now, 9 3/4 by 2.5 inches. This is what I wanted to go over today. These are smaller projects that you can use these smaller strips for. Next week, we are going to take a jelly roll and we're going to do a jelly roll race. Now, I know that a lot of us have heard of jelly roll races and we've participated in jelly roll races, but if you're going to be doing a strip challenge, a jelly roll race, it's just what you have to do. It's just the first thing that you have to do because it's a standard. It's almost expected. So for my jelly roll race, I am going to add these little mini charm squares in between my strips. So it's a little extra sewing, but it's really neat to introduce that little bit of a different look within your strips. All right, 8 weeks of jelly roll 2.5 inch strips. We are going to go over how you can cut out your own 2.5 inch strips. We're going to go over using those 2.5 inch strips that we've already got in our stash. Some of us have these little mini jelly rolls, which is usually about 20 strips. And then of course we have those giant jelly rolls, which is what we'll use for our jelly roll race, with 42 2.5 inch strips. It is a strip challenge. I would like to invite you to a retreat that is hosted by Di of Sister Chicks, Tracy of the Sewing Channel, and myself of April's Craft Room. I will put a link in the description below. We will be meeting in Hamilton, Missouri, the quilt capital of the world, Jenny's Kingdom, we could call it. And we are going to have fun. We are going to laugh, meet new people, make new friends, work on projects that we have, learn new projects, win prizes, and get swag bags, and just, it's going to be like a slumber party from when you were, younger. So hopefully you will join us. Another thing that I'm going to do is in September, I'm going on the trip of a lifetime. I'm going to Ireland, and I would love for you to join me. We are going to learn to carve crystal. We are going to go shopping. We are going to see the beautiful sights of Ireland, and I'm really, really getting excited. It will be here before I know it. I will also put a link in the description below in case you're interested. If you have any questions about any of these trips, just email me. It's aprilscraftroom@gmail.com. Now I want to do a little shout out to Johnny. Johnny sent me this giant tin of clips. Now these clips are a good size clip. I have the little clips. I've got these 2 sizes here. I don't have this size. And this is a great size. Look at that. It's long enough that you can use it for projects that maybe you need to clip, but there's a little space before you need to clip. I'm thinking of a couple things that I could have already used these on, but I didn't have them at the time. Johnny, thank you so much for sharing these with me. I very much appreciate it. I also wanted to give a shout out to everybody who watches my channel. I know there are all kinds of quilting channels that you can watch, and the fact that you're taking your time to watch mine, I'm very grateful, and I just want you to know that. I don't think I say it nearly enough, but thank you so much for watching. I feel like I have just, 50,000 new friends, and I would love to get to know each and every one of you. Now, there are quite a few people who are interested in my scraps. Those drawers are still sitting over there, but I'm going to go through, I'm going to fold them, I'm collecting boxes right now, and I'll get enough boxes. I will spread out the scraps. Look, I even have this drawer. Look at this. I have a giant drawer. Everybody who has sent me an email requesting scraps, don't worry, I have plenty to go around. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, eat some chocolate, and be kind to everyone. Until next week, for week number 2 of our strip challenge, bye. We can go quilting channels.